I love this level. Shit. Shit.
Almost nothing gets my goose cooking faster than a good Zelda game. It's a franchise with a handful of really well-constructed games, and even with my obvious bias aside, there's a lot that sets Wind Waker above your standard adventure game of its time and other games in its franchise. It set a new style for the games to adorn, even amidst controversy before its release, and it does one thing perfectly that only great Zelda games truly nail down well. It lets you feel the growth of Link. It does so in ways other Zelda games do, like presenting a wall of wind that you need to get an item to get past, or throws a mini-boss at you that you can't beat until you get a certain item, or like today's installment of I Love This Level, the show where I break down my favorite segments of a game, it gives you an entire island to show you just how much you've grown. It's a pivotal point in the early game that carries threads throughout your adventure, and is an iconic set piece. It is the former Gerudo Fortress that is, the Forsaken Fortress. From a narrative standpoint, this level holds a lot of significance. The giant burb has your sister and you gotta save her, but when you first get there, you're pretty ill-equipped to really do anything. You're thrown onto the island with nothing but barrels to hide in with searchlights and moblins to avoid. It's a fun stealth level and feels like a bigger version of sequences from games past, like the Hyrule Garden and Gerudo's Fortress from Ocarina of Time, or the Pirate's Fortress from Majora's Mask, which is another brilliant level. Unlike most of those levels, though, which come later in your Zelda adventure, this is your first stop. Getting caught feels more frustrating because you wish you had a sword to fight with. While you do disable the searchlights by fighting the bokoblins with sticks and jars, the moblins are still a different story. You know you have the abilities at your disposal, but you need to find them, and once you get them, on this first visit, you get a glimpse of your powers. After you climb, you finally get a sword, and you're able to smack the bokoblins and moblins, only for them to quickly be stripped away again at the end. Once you reach the top, you're knocked back on your ass, catching a glimpse at the adventure ahead of you with the sight of Ganondorf and your sister caged with the other captured girls before you're cast away into the sea by the Helmarock King, that gigantic aviary enemy who seems like an unstoppable force. The second visit is where the magic I described before really comes in, and the whole dynamic of this level changes. The fortress looks less like a gymnastics routine where you use your wit to sneak around the guards, and more like a playground to throw down in. You have a few temples under your belt now, and you're ready to save your sister along with the other girls who've been kidnapped. You're sailing towards the island with confidence. You are ready to take down any enemy that gets in your path. And then it happens. You're ambushed with the mini-boss, and not one you may expect to see here. Phantom Ganon strikes. In such a nice fight that calls back to any other previous Ganon and Ganondorf fights, like the ones from Ocarina of Time. It's a glimpse of the final boss in a different way, and allows you to really see your growth on full display. The stage of the fight is nothing special, but the point is that it's happening here. Before, you were just a meaningless speck to Ganondorf. He threw you out like the trash, and now you're fighting his shadow. He is a force between you and your goal, and you're able to take him out, getting another dungeon item that's integral to your success. After the fight, the difficulty ramps up even more. Now, you're a target with a mark on your back for the whole fortress. Cannons start firing at you, enemies are on higher alert, but your goal is even closer now. Once you reach the top, you're able to test that growth even more by fighting the Helmarock King, the big bird that's been the bane of your journey thus far, the direct link to your conflict, and you finally get to take him down. This fight really builds well too, having you dodge his attacks as you climb the tower, with the bokoblins taking jabs at you before you finally get to lay a hit on him with the hammer you gained from the Phantom Ganon fight. In that instant, the king's invisible shroud that he's worn so far in your adventure is gone. He goes from the giant, unstoppable enemy that threw you into the sea into something you can actually tangibly defeat. And that's the magic of not only a great Zelda game, but a great video game. That's a memory well embedded into my brain. And from there on out, yeah, the boss fight becomes not unlike the ones you've tackled already. Wait for an opportunity to attack, break his mask with a hammer, and then take him down with a combination of your bears and your sword. However, your motivation is more instilled with this fight, given you're fighting for something that you've been fighting for since the beginning of the game. I remember a great joy when I actually laid that final blow on him. It felt like I accomplished something better than I had in Zelda games I had played before. This felt like a bigger task and a turning point for the game. That, in tandem with how dynamic the level becomes, is what sets it above the Korok Temple, the grabbing of the Master Sword, or even the final fight as the best piece of this masterpiece and why I chose it to talk about today. Well, that's going to conclude this episode of I Love This Level. While a meatier episode in comparison to the others, I was really wanting to both end this year with something big and also actually sit down to talk about Zelda. It's a franchise I've always said I love so much, and it felt great to showcase that with a bit more of an in-depth look. Now I want to know, what are some of your favorite parts in Zelda games? What's your favorite Zelda game in general? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching, by the way. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you want to see more of my music, gaming, and genre nerdery content, be sure to subscribe. Special thanks to my patrons. If you'd like to join their ranks, be sure to follow the link in the description for my Patreon. I'm going to get out of here, though. Thank you guys so much again for watching. You guys are good at life situations, and I'll see you another day.